Thank you for inviting me to be part of the Peace and Service Network meeting and as well for your support for my son Shadi. After he was arrested, he went into 12 constant court sessions. Every 2 days, the court was postponed, and he stayed for 41 days in detention in 3 prisons. They moved him in 3 prisons, one in Jerusalem at the Russian compound, which we called Al-Maskoubiya, where all the interrogation and torture happened with Shadi. And then he was moved to Ad-Damoun prison, which is a prison for minors, just near Haifa. And during the sessions and the court session, he was transferred to a 3rd prison, which is called Ramallah. Shadi went into very difficult situation. He was tortured for 16 days, and he was under investigation, and he was beaten hard. His nose is broken, and they practiced different kind of torture on Shadi. Thank God he is now home with us, safe, with all the support and the campaigns and the lobbying of so many friends and the great work of our lawyer. He is safe, back to his room with the family, and thanks to the school, they are working hard on getting him on board and to follow up the 40 days he missed at school. And the most important thing, he will spend Christmas with us as well. Actually, Israeli occupation continues to oppress Palestinians, especially children and especially residents of Jerusalem. And so many children from Jerusalem were arrested this year and the years before, and more than 100 children are under house arrest. Shadi is under house arrest now. He is not allowed to leave the house, to go outside. He's not allowed to go to school. He's not allowed to go and meet his friends or to celebrate or play soccer because he plays soccer with his team. And this is, of course, all against any international treaties or agreements or child law as well. They don't just put children on house arrest, but as well they work hard on separating family members, because sometimes they don't allow them to stay in the same house, in their homes, but they ask them to move to somewhere else outside Jerusalem, like in areas around, and they put foot bracelets to track their movement as well. Thank God Shadi do not have this foot bracelet, so it's easier for him to move around in the house and as well in our garden, which we have a garden around the house. It's very difficult, the house arrest, than prison, as well it might take the trial a longer period, and they can continue postponing and doing extension for the court, and it might take years, and children might stay in house arrest for 1 year, for 1.5 years, for 18 months, we don't know. Actually, I tried to get not just to speak about the case of Shadi. I can tell you exactly what Shadi went through, but as well there was so many testimony of captured children who highlighted the immoral methods and the brutal ways of investigation that happened with minors and they are subjected to during their detention. Shadi was severely beaten from the moment he was arrested from home, with rifles, with their legs, and trampling on Shadi by the soldiers. And as well, he was tortured by using pepper spray, which they continued beating with the pepper spray on his head, on his nose, and his nose was broken and the blood was all over the room. And it continued when they took him out from the house in the car while going to the investigation police station. They insult him, they threatened him during interrogation as well. He was wounded and left bleeding for a long period before being or asked to be checked by a doctor, even though when our lawyer asked for that in court, and we had a decision by the judge that Shadi should be tested by and get treatment by a doctor, he didn't get one. The only thing that they did, they took him to someone in prison, and he gave him like a painkiller or like paracetamol or something. They continued investigating Shadi while he was injured, and despite his poor health conditions, they're trying through this to force children to make confessions under beatings, under torture, and threatened as well to arrest the family members. And this is what they have done with Shadi. They took me, they asked me to go for interrogation. They took his father, and when they took him to one of the interrogation, they said, your mother was here, and this is the place where she sat. And they tried to psychologically pressure Shadi that we arrested your mom as well. Some of the children are put in isolation. They put them in a cell alone. Shadi was not put alone, but rather with other children that he doesn't know. But at El Mascobiyya compound, he stayed for 16 days, 24/7, without in a room where they cannot do anything. They just give them 20 minutes to leave the room for a walk in a very small area, and then they send him back to the room. He was beaten because he was singing one of the days, because he was bored. There's nothing to be done. There's nothing in the cell where he was staying. He started singing. So they took him and they started beating him as well. We were not allowed to visit him until the 3rd week. Lawyer was not allowed to sit with him while he was interrogated, which is this against as well any international law. This is part of what Shadi went through during investigation and during the 41 days. Other children go through the same conditions. It depends who and when and what is the reason behind it. But this is in general what children are going through during detention. Shadi was released, but we know that he was traumatized during prison. We are following up this matter, and we're trying to deal with it through friends who are supporting him, and through sessions as well, not just for Shadi, for us as well, because we were, during the 41 days, it was the most difficult time for us as a family, as a mother, as a father, and his brother and sister. It was very difficult to deal with it, but with the support of friends like you, with the support of the school, with the support of Rania, and so many people around, we got the courage and the help. Like Kirsten worked hard on doing the movie, who helped a lot getting the story of Shadi out. And maybe Shadi is the victim of all what happened, but Shadi highlighted the situation of the children in Palestine, which we should continue talking about what Palestinian children are facing from the Israeli occupation. Finally, what ways you can do and support, and what you can do for Shadi. It is not done yet. The issue just started. Shadi is home now, safe. But there are more than 130 children in prison who are going into the same conditions and situation like Shadi. Shadi's case is still open. The court is set for the 12th of December. So now they will start the real decisions in regards to his arrest and so on, if they want to get him back in prison. And they started discussing what should be done with Shadi and the other 5 kids who were arrested at the same period. So We are very grateful for your support. If you continue your action in your community, show solidarity with Shadi and other children, maybe organize meetings like this, do conferences and speak about Shadi. Take action by contacting public officials, with the media, speak out and loud about this, what's happening with the kids. Try as well to ask to hold this occupation accountable for their role in violating the rights of Palestinian children, which is very important. Address your representatives in parliament, politicians to act. Send letters to the Israeli embassy in your country. Reach out to your president, to people who represent you as well. Question what they are doing for Palestinians, and lobby. The most important thing is to lobby for the rights of children, because the Convention of the Rights of Children, that it says that children have specific rights and should be protected at all times. Unfortunately, not in Palestine.
Hello, friends. Thank you for having me. Well, I just want to add to what Rania has mentioned, which is what happened to Shadi and the experience that Shadi has been through has helped us all highlight what happens to Palestinian children on a daily basis. I mean, each year there are around 500 to 700 Palestinian children that are detained by Israeli military forces, and the children can be as young as 12 years old. And there's no way, as we say, there's no way to treat a child like this when children are detained and deprived from their basic rights and their right to education. I mean, by depriving and denying Shadi his right to education, his right to school, when he's preparing for his international baccalaureate diploma. He's in 11th grade. And this is a very crucial year for preparing for his future and applying even to colleges. He still has almost, next year is his senior year. And Rania also has mentioned, I mean, the way that Shadi was arrested, but I have to also add that when our children are arrested, Palestinian children are arrested, the whole family is also terrified. From the moment that they burst into a child's home, they terrify the whole family. And the way they seize the child and they transport him, whether hooded or blindfolded, to prison. And they just put the children in all of this terror. They terrorize them and they traumatize them. So it's a very traumatizing experience. And this has been a systematic approach on Palestinian children for a long time. And it's time that we highlight this, that our children, they have, our children, even the students at the Friends School, when Shadi was arrested, and in the visual and in the solidarity support that they have organized at the school, they talked about and reflected about the lack of their fundamental protections, that they're not, you know, they just don't feel, we as adults, we cannot protect them. And they just feel that they are not protected. And they talked about their fear, the many cases of abuse that they endure as children under this brutal military occupation. It's not easy. And even as a school and as a Quaker school in Palestine, that we try, how do we say, that we try to reprieve our children from what other children in Palestine suffer from on a daily basis, but we cannot shelter them from occupation. So, thank you.
Well, this is the question. Actually, I started writing about what we went through, which is a kind of therapy for me and a kind of questioning some issues that we don't have answers for it. When they came in, I told them, you know, that they took Shadi with his pajama. They didn't allow him to put his clothes because he asked them that he needs his space just to put his underwear. He wasn't wearing his underwear. So they refused and they took him without shoes, without anything, and in his pajama. And it was very, very cold. So I asked him, you know that he's still a child. Please just give him time. I beg you, give him time just to put on his clothes. He said, he doesn't need it. You know, we're taking all his clothes when we interrogate him. So I was thinking, what do they eat, these people? How do they think? How do they go home? What do they tell their children when they put them to sleep? Do they read a story for them? Or do they tell them, today I arrested a child in the same age like you and I beated this child and his blood was all over the place? I was thinking about the mentality of people. How do they end up like this? Why do they do like this? But it is a systematic approach in the whole system of the occupation. Is they treat you like you are an, maybe if I say animal, because I don't believe in this, because we have love for animals and we treat animals well. But even they don't look into your eyes. Throughout the 12 court cases we went, they didn't look into the eyes of children that they were sitting. They are all kids, 15 and 16 years old. They don't see them. They don't see them. I told them, you know, under international law, and under your law, and it's Israeli government, you cannot take a child, a minor child, without the presence of his parents or a lawyer. So he told me, just rest, we know the law. They interrogated Shadi without a lawyer, without having a lawyer next to him sitting, according to law as well. So I'm always thinking about it, Marius. How do they think? How do they live? How I don't know. How do they create these monsters to treat these children like this? How do they continue their life every day? It's a very difficult question, but I think it is a system that is based on raising people being like this, or treating people like this. And I don't think in the whole world that any kind of injustice in this situation will continue. It will not. It will end. Like in South Africa and any other places all around the world. You cannot continue treating people in this situation. People will not stay silent as well.
Thank you very much. I'm speaking to you from the southwest of England, Dorchester and Dorset, but my working life was entirely within 4 Quakers. And so thank you very much, both Ranias, for your accounts. And I just want to mention that I worked in the occupied territories 41 years ago, and I have witnessed through my working life the deterioration of the situation there, despite all our humongous efforts as a tiny faith community to work on things like, so the Convention on the Rights of the Child became law in 1989, and we were instrumental in making sure that that became international law, and that law applies to children everywhere. And of course, we've also had, was very instrumental in setting up what is now the Ecumenical Accompaniment Programme for Palestine, Israel. And I've had to negotiate, particularly nationally in England, in Britain really, the veracity and honesty of the accounts that ecumenical accompaniers give when they return to Britain, because we were endlessly accused of those people lying, even though, of course, they were giving first-hand, honest, truthful accounts of what they witnessed in terms of the treatment of Palestinians. What we found was, in a lot of those very difficult negotiations and being accused endlessly of lying and giving false witness, we constantly said, go see for yourselves, go see for yourselves, look at the statistics, look at the Defence of Children International, look at all the bodies that collate the statistics about the treatment of people. This is not just us saying this. And there is a desperate need for political will and political change. So lots of us will never, ever give up trying to work out the best way to make for a change. And we even have a little group here in the south, in Dorchester, in Dorset, which has a regular discussion group about what are the possibilities, where are the opportunities for change in relation to this situation. But I'm so humbled by your accounts, both of you, in terms of what you've had to deal with, in particularly in relation to children, because lots of us here are parents, so we can identify so closely, as Jez pointed out. But I also want to say, we'll never give up. We never give up, and we'll keep looking for opportunities and looking for ways forward, and of course being in solidarity with you wherever we can. So I hope that's of some small comfort in your time of intense trauma.
Thank you so much. Thank you. With people like you, we manage to keep going on, have hope, and as well to get all the energy and the power as well to be able to stand fast and stay here and fight for our rights as well. And the most important thing I always say is to keep our children safe and not to lose hope. This is very important. The issue of hope, if they are frustrated, this is a major problem. So it makes a difference to have people like you working, standing, fighting for the rights of Palestinians and speaking out as well. Thank you so much.
He's adorable. He's so sweet. He's loved by everyone at the school. I mean, he has so many friends. And as a school, the Ramallah Friends School is the only inclusive education, the school that offers inclusive education. So even students who are with special needs, to have someone to be very close with these students also. Shadi is a close friend to everyone. So when Shadi was arrested and they organized the solidarity stand, you should have, I wish I can share with you what the students spoke about Shadi, what his friends spoke about him. I know that he has a beautiful smile. It was amazing when I saw him after he was released. I mean, he's still under house arrest, to see that he's still smiling and to see his motivation, that he wants to be back to school, even virtually, that he wants to learn, that he's ready, he's motivated, he's positive. He's a great football player as well, and he loves to sing. We actually started the music choir recently at the school. We reactivated the old music choir that we had for years, and we were hoping that Shadi would be part of it, and we're looking forward that he will be back soon amongst us.
We have like a proverb in Arabic, القرد في عين أمه غزال, that how to translate it?
Well, if we're going to do a literal I mean,
it's like the monkey in his mother's eyes is a deer, is a beautiful. So what can I say? As a mom, I see all the beautiful thing in Shadi. I mean, Shadi is very confident. He has a very strong character, but he's always very shy, very polite. And I must say, because I mean, even when we sit around the table, the way he eats, the way he acts, the way he speaks with his grandma, how he takes care of her, moving the chair for her, and so on. He's very loving to the family. Actually, he has a very special relation with his dad, which was very difficult for his dad as well during his arrest to accept that his youngest child is in prison. He loves to volunteer. He volunteers always with us during summer for summer camp, cultural summer camps, and as well during the events, festivals, and so on. He sings, as Rania said. He plays qanun, which is the Arabic sitar. He studied percussion as well, a bit of violin. We're a musical family, so music all around the house. For that reason, when he started to sing inside prison, it seems they didn't like his voice, so they started beating him. I always tell him, maybe because you're in an age that your voice is not good now, so they didn't like your voice. I was, of course, trying to make fun of something which is very, very hard on him. He's the captain of his soccer team. He plays with the Orthodox team club. And as well, he loves so much animals. So we have his dog Aboud. Everybody knows Aboud now. His best friend at home. What else I can say about Shadi? It wasn't easy when we moved him from one school to the other. We took a decision to move him 2 years ago to the Friends School because he was staying. He was learning at the Frere School here in Jerusalem, but it was, I must say now, it was the best decision that we have taken for Shadi. And I really thank Rania and the school for all their great work in supporting Shadi when he moved to the Friends School 2 years ago, and now the whole Quakers family have been doing a very supportive work. Paul from the Friends School as well, and Rania and the teachers and so on. So this is Shadi, a handsome boy who I'm always afraid to say, I hope he didn't lose his sense of childhood in this experience, because I want him to live his age, not to go through an experience that will you will feel that he grew up 10 years ahead of his age, which is very difficult to imagine my son not to live his age and to enjoy life and to have friends and have girlfriends as well, and to enjoy all the freedom he should have as a child as well.
I have to add that despite all of what he's been through and the trauma, particularly the night that they arrested him, every time we had the chance to see Shadi taken to the court case, he was always smiling. And this smile, it shows a lot. It reflects who Shadi is. You know, he's hopeful and he's positive and he's an amazing person.